Hello, I'm Jonathan Womack, and welcome to this edition of Community Insider. Coming up on the show, we have Mr. Brian Waldrop, who's with Cannon Severe Weather, and we are wanting you to think about severe weather and what it means to our local community, Middle Tennessee, Upper Cumberland, and the Cumberland Plateau. That and much more on this edition of Community Insider.
Communitytvtn is brought to you by Security Federal Savings Bank, proudly serving the community we call home.
Grace Family Pharmacy announces new medication packaging service. It provides a simpler, safer medication experience through convenient, personalized packaging using the latest in pharmacy robotics. We're located at 357 West Main Street. Our phone number is 931-473-6418.
McMinnville, you're a great place to be. McMinnville, Tennessee.
The My Usage app is a way to conveniently pay online, anytime, day or night. You can also come by any Caney Fork Electric office and sign up for the prepay option available using the My Usage app. Know exactly how much electricity is used each day and the cost. Best of all, no monthly bill. You can set up email or text alerts, keep track of your usage, and pay your bill, all with the My Usage app from Caney Fork. Caney Fork Electric, keeping you informed.
Welcome to another edition of Community Insider. Join us as we travel Middle Tennessee, uncovering history and experiencing the adventure of unique stories and events coming to you inside your community.
Jonathan Womack, welcome to this edition of Community Insider. Mr. Brian is with us, and he is the owner, operator, and the man behind the scenes when it comes to Cannon Severe Weather. Brian, thank you so much for finally getting to meet you in person. Mm-hmm. For years I followed from your Facebook page to your other YouTube accounts and stuff like that you've been doing. there may be some people on here going, well, I'm not in Cannon County, so you know, what good does this do? And the reason that it's important is because the knowledge that Brian has, the experience that he's learned, and what it means to us on a local level when it comes to severe weather. People who has some eyes to the sky, and because of the love that they have for weather and weather knowledge, that can help all of us out. Most recent, there has been one of the closest tornadoes that really rocked the local community around Warren County and surrounding counties was the tornado that happened in Cannon County. And I know that was something, Brian, that you was not wanting to ever see, but it's something on a daily, nightly watch he's always watching for to help other people. Brian, I'm going to start with this. What got you into this whole weather thing?
Well, I think I'm a lot like a lot of other people who are like this. When they were a child, there was something that made an impression on them with the weather. And with me, I'm from South Carolina. I lived about 100 miles inland from the ocean, and we would have these thunderstorms called pulse storms that would pop up, and they would produce lightning for an extended amount of time. And the lightning would a lot of times pop very close to the home. We had a lot of pine trees down there, and these trees would get popped and the bark would just shoot off, and you would see a line down the tree. And as a child, that was very scary. And you know, you just didn't know when it might come and get you. So now that I'm older, I still have the interest in that, and now I know how to somewhat predict lightning. Lightning is very unpredictable, but I try my best to see what the conditions are that produce lightning, and I'm able to share that with the community.
Speaking of that, you have a resource for people, no matter where they live in Middle Tennessee. It can be a very helpful resource when it comes to the lightning prediction. Explain just a little bit about that wonderful resource that people have. I know it's one of many things you have, but since you mentioned the lightning, what does that mean that you can predict the lightning?
Well, the lightning device that I have here is called an electric field mill, and they have a network of these down at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, because you can have a highly charged cloud above the space launch area, and if they launch a rocket, even if there is no lightning happening, if that cloud is charged, as soon as that rocket takes off, the vapor trail can trigger lightning. They call that rocket triggered lightning. So they never want to launch a spacecraft and get it hit by lightning.
Wow.
So I'm using that same technique here to measure clouds above Cannon County, specifically over central Cannon County, because this device has a range of maybe 6 miles out of detecting electric fields. And when I see the electric field rising, I'm able to say, hey, the conditions are there for, there's charging in the sky, and if you're outside, lightning could happen. Now, we don't know a specific level at which the electric field gets before lightning happens, because there are a lot of variables that can trigger lightning, anything from tall towers to precipitation coming down. But when I know there's charging, I know I can say, hey, there's an electric field out there, it's too dangerous to be outside.
That's awesome.
And that's just one of the tools. We have other
what's
tools.
Some other ways?
Yeah, other tools. I use a NASA Sport down in Huntsville. They're using, they're developing a tool to also predict lightning. It's called Lightning AI. We are just within the range of this tool right now, and eventually this tool will become operational and it will be available to other areas in the country. But right now it's only available near NASA centers, which Huntsville is one of those.
Well,
another tool I use is called a Lightning Cast, and that is an overlay that I download and put over my radar, and it shows a percent chance of lightning in an area. And this uses information from satellites to predict this.
That's awesome. So let's go back to how people can see your great resources. I know, number one, YouTube, Facebook, that's the main ways, right? That's
right.
Some other resources that you have.
And on X, formerly known as Twitter. X is how I communicate with the Weather Service and local TV stations, because all of them also follow Cannon Severe Weather, so they know what's happening out here. The radar can see what's going on up in the sky, but the radar cannot see what's going on the ground.
That's right. So a valuable resource reversing back to you is the people that helps you out on those Facebook pages, stuff like that. I followed some of them just watching to see bad weather conditions, bad road conditions, stuff like that. You depend on people to help you with other resources also, right?
That's true. That's true. The National Weather Service has a chat room that I'm in. The people in this chat room would be local media, TV media, emergency managers, other what they call T-spotters like myself. Each county in Middle Tennessee, most counties in Middle Tennessee has someone that covers their county like I do. And we're all in there, and the National Weather Service will say, hey, we're watching a storm, it's got some rotation. At this time, though, we don't think it's quite to tornado warning levels. And then a minute or two later, that might change to say, hey, this is really starting to tighten up, and we're going to issue a warning here very soon for Cannon County. And I'm able to put a message out that says, hey, a tornado warning is coming, prepare to take cover. The official warning comes out, and then I post that as I receive it from the National Weather Service. Now, I'm not allowed to issue warnings, but I can talk about situations that might be developing, and we're monitoring to see what the National Weather Service says about it.
That's right. So, even for me, I live in Warren County, but a great resource for me is Cannon Severe Weather, because before it gets to Warren County and my home, it's going to pass through you guys, and eyes and ears to the sky is so important. This scenario has been in play my entire life. I'm in my 40s, and the great network that we have of Nashville weather stations, I'm so thankful for the technology they have and the resources they offer the community. But they'll go back to a commercial, or they'll go back to a show, and we're still targeted for a bad severe weather condition, and we sort of feel left out sometimes. These severe weather Facebook pages and websites and YouTube channels can be so important, like your own, that can help people with these needs, because not everybody's watching for us like you guys are.
Right.
And other areas that also has Upper Cumberland Weather, I know, is one that does a fantastic job with covering local communities. Any other local ones that you can sort of tell us about that people may be in the viewing area?
Well, we have Rutherford Severe Weather, we have Nash Severe Weather, and all of these follow the scheme of Nash Severe WX, Ruff Severe WX, I'm Cannon Severe WX.
Gotcha.
We have Bedford Severe WX, Marshall, especially these counties to our west and southwest, because if you follow them, you can see what's coming in this direction.
That's right.
And this is especially helpful for folks who do not have TV service. With the economy being the way it is, some people are dropping their TV services,
That's right.
and this is one of the main ways they're getting their information.
Get everything on Roku,
Yes.
You can stream it, whatever,
Right.
We were riding horses on private property in Beech Grove. This was August of 2007, and it was a beautiful day, and then a storm came up out of nowhere. And so we took shelter in a barn that did not have electricity. I believe it was an indirect strike. There was an animal, a cow out there that took the direct strike, and I believe it went through the ground and it came up through my legs. Well, soon after, I had some short-term memory loss and simple things like I couldn't count change. I wasn't able to count change. I had some depression. You would think I would be happy to be alive, but I actually had some immediate depression and mortal fear of staying alone. Just, I don't know, it was almost kind of like if I heard a whir sound in the house, I was just convinced, I just felt like it was going to come back and get me. Long-term effects, some of my memory from high school and my teenage years completely wiped out. There are people I went to high school with that I don't remember now, but I have photographs of me with them that I don't remember them, I don't remember their names. So, yeah. Absolutely. I never thought that that was something that could happen to me, and then it did. Yes, absolutely. I've always heard if you hear thunder, head indoors, because if you hear it, you can be hit. I believe if you hear thunder, you should head indoors, preferably into a house that has electricity and plumbing, because I was hit in a barn that did not have any, and then you can become the conductor in those kind of shelters. So years ago, when I would go riding by myself, I have been caught in thunderstorms with lightning, and I never really had any fear of it because I had never been hit. It's just not something that I thought would happen to me or anybody I know. I didn't know anyone that had ever been hit by it, so I had no fear. I stayed out in it, and that's what happened that day that I did get hit. I would say take it very serious. It can happen. It happened to me, and it almost ended my life. I was very lucky that day.
Brian, when it comes to being ready for weather and being weather ready, you can find all kinds of great resources like we've done mentioned, but really on a local level, it is so important that people know what to look for, know when to be prepared. On a local level, what is something that you would add to on how people can find resources or do themselves to be weather ready?
Okay, I would say start by having a disaster kit. Make sure you have food for just a few days, non-perishable foods, a flashlight with batteries, have a battery or hand-cranked radio in case you lose power for an extended time. The hand-cranked radios are really great. Sometimes you can get them even solar powered. So that's one thing. Another thing is having multiple ways to receive weather alerts. And NOAA Weather Radio is an excellent way to get the alerts. Smartphone apps, which are offered by some of our local TV stations. The TV weather in itself is a way to keep track of what's going on with the weather. And also internet weather sources, even sources such as Cannon Severe Weather and other sources in other counties. Also, the National Weather Service is also on social media. They're on Twitter, now known as X. They're on Facebook as well. Another thing to know is your geography. Know your county and your surrounding counties on a map. Note the counties to your west and to your southwest, because often if there are tornadoes, they do a lot of times come from the west and southwest. Not always, but often they do. So it's important to know, especially if you're new to the area. If you just moved here from somewhere else, you probably are just now getting to know the area you live in. So take a look at maps and get familiar with that. Know your risks. Are you in a flood-prone area? Do you live in a floodplain? Do you live near a river or a creek? If you do, check into that. Check with your insurance company. Make sure you're covered for flood insurance. Yes, flood insurance is a completely different thing than homeowners insurance. And if you suspect you're in a flood area, and if your insurance company says you don't need flood insurance, but you suspect it, ask them what happens if it floods anyway. Who pays for that? That's important information to know. You will also need to have a safe place to go to if there's a tornado warning, and that's usually an interior room on the lowest part of your house. A storm shelter is best, especially if you can get underground. If you live in a mobile home, you need to evacuate that mobile home. A mobile home can be a death trap in severe weather. So you need to have a place to go to. Check in to see if there are any shelters in your area. Maybe you would go to a family member's house or a friend's house and know how you would get there. How long does it take you to get there? So if a tornado warning is issued, do you even have time to get there? Keep in mind that tornadoes can move up to 70 miles an hour across land. Wow. And they don't stop for stop signs and stoplights. So they can cover ground a lot faster than you can in a car. Yeah. So those are things to consider.
Brian, I know you was watching the weather on that infamous night here in Woodbury, Cannon County, Radyville, the night that the tornado hit. We're coming up marking the anniversary, 1-year anniversary of that unbelievable night, and but so fortunate with all the destruction. Hundreds of years of history completely just blew away.
Right.
What can we say? I know that you have unbelievable footage marking, and I know I got some B-roll footage, and there was people here that was helping from all over the world. But what did you learn from that experience? As much as I know you love the community, and how thankful you was no one was injured severely, what did you learn through that experience?
Well, I would say just because you've never seen severe weather at your location, just because you've never seen a flood at your location does not mean it cannot happen. And it seems like there's always a first with severe weather. I think about the flooding in Waverly back in August of 2021. Yeah. No one was expecting that. People went to sleep, they're expecting to go to sleep, and next thing they know, they're being washed away. And so I even spoke with our National Weather Service after that happened. I said, is that even possible here in Cannon County? Because I'm thinking about our watersheds. I'm thinking about our creeks and our rivers, and almost all of them flow out of the county. So I'm thinking, well, we have really good drainage here. Could that even happen? So I made a point to contact the Weather Service, and I said, I have a question for your hydrologist up there. Can that happen here in Cannon County? And I was told, yes, it can happen. Wow. It can happen. If we get 15 inches of rain in a short amount of time like they did, they said that a large portion of Woodbury could be washed away. Wow. So it is something that can happen. It happens very rarely. So just be alert, pay attention before you go to bed at night. Know what's happening, especially anytime it's warm when it shouldn't be warm in the wintertime. Keep in mind, tornadoes and severe weather can happen any time of the year.
Tennessee's crazy for that.
Any time of the year. Yeah. Sometimes we feel like we're in tornado season from November all the way to July.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember a date impressed in my mind, April 16th. And it's coming to flurry, snow flurry, and I like the 16th of April here in Tennessee, Middle Tennessee. So you just never can tell. From those experiences you've seen, just from following weather, what is some of the most rarest that you want to mention that you've sort of caught on film, and that's the cool part too. I got to give kudos for you catching the comets and stuff like that, asteroids and stuff that falls. That's pretty cool.
Yes, I owe a lot of thank you to some of our local people like the Cannon County EMA and also the Short Mountain Bible Camp. They have let me put cameras in locations that give us this incredible footage. But some of the most unique things would be some of what I call these ground scraping shelf clouds that come into our county. They're up in the air and they start hitting the higher terrain, and the moisture down in the hollows. Here locally we call them hollers. The hollows, that moisture gets scooped up. We have orographic lift here. It gets scooped up into the shelf cloud, and it looks like it's just scraping the ground. And other unique things would be just since we have our Cannon Mesonet here now, our weather stations, we're able to see what's going on here locally. And a lot of times it's obviously colder up on Short Mountain, which is back in that direction over there. And then sometimes it's not. Sometimes we have a temperature inversion and it's warmer up there and colder in Woodbury. Wow. It depends on what the winds are doing. If we have a calm wind situation, a lot of times it's colder down here. But if it's a winter storm type situation, it's colder in the higher elevations. And we've seen ice up at my place where I live. I live up in the Iconium area. It's at an elevation of 1,212 feet. And then Woodbury is down here around 600 feet. We've had ice up there, nothing down here in Woodbury.
And nobody thinks about this, but I've noticed it. You have some of the best graphics that you build. For instance, the elevation of like Short Mountain or the Cumberland Plateau comparative to the Batman Tower, and so much education you've tried to educate people with. Really cool. You know, you bring it home whenever you do stuff like that. I know for a fact, McMinnville, the city, I didn't really realize it until your education with weather and geographically that the very top of the Cumberland Plateau, we're sort of down in a valley when it comes to McMinnville. So, for instance, we didn't get snow, but y'all got snow up here on the top of the Cumberland Plateau or the peak of it. So, I learned that just from following the stuff that you was putting out online.
Yeah, I love maps. I love anything visual. I love looking at charts and that kind of thing. I guess that's why I guess you would say, kind of good at that. I mean, I don't think I'm that great, but I enjoy doing that kind of thing, and I like sharing that with people to kind of educate on that and why weather situations happen here locally.
That's cool. Well, man, I appreciate all your service to the community. How can people support you? What's the best way to do that?
Well, simply follow, share the posts. If you want to go a step further and support financially, I really don't take money, and I don't do anything subscription with Patreon like some of the other services do. But if you want to buy us some equipment or something, contact me, and I'll tell you what all we need. If there's something in your price range that you want to purchase, we could use more cameras, for example. Yeah. We went to SWAD, Severe Weather Awareness Day, up at Trevecca University last Saturday, and James Spann from ABC in Birmingham, he was saying we need more cameras on these tornadoes. He said people will see a radar screen, and to them that's just colors, but if they see a picture of the cloud, if they see the rotation, when they see those images, they will take action, they will take cover, they believe it then.
Yeah. Well, Brian, I thank you for everything you do. We want to thank you for watching. Be storm ready. Don't get caught not watching the weather. I know that it can be, they'll tell about a storm coming a week from now, and then maybe it doesn't happen. But that one night that you're not watching can be so important that you keep your eyes and ears to the sky and make sure you're storm ready. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all of our sponsors for making this happen. We want to thank Andrew and all that he does for Cannon Severe Weather. We also want to thank all the other Storm Network TV stations, radio stations that continues to be the warnings, eyes and ears for our community. And as we say always, until next time, we hope to see you inside your community.